All right, so now it's time to get your hands dirty, time to get those feet wet, and let's click on to Linux. If you are already at this point, the first tool I'm going to show you is called Tmux. And this is just to help you be able to navigate through Linux a lot faster. So we'll type in Tmux, enter. It's just saying, hey, this is a cool environment. Da, 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 da. It's also saying you have sudo, and sudo means super doer. Just think of it as admin. You have admin rights. So you're already an admin. Okay, so our first um, shortcut for today is going to be hold control and press L. And what you've noticed is you were able to clear. It's equivalent to typing in clear, which I'll do later on, but control L, get that in your muscle memory. Let's go. So first thing is we want to know where we are. And you can think of it as like playing Marco Polo. And that is LS. LS is going to show you where you are on the command line. And just think of a command line as like a just something talking to the computer. It's like telling the actual brain of the computer what to do. So um, it's showing us, hey, you are we're it's equivalent to seeing this exactly right here. So as you can see, there's documents here, downloads here, downloads here. You get the point. So then let's say, hey, I want to, and you don't have to open this up on the side. I'm just showing, this is just for showing you. Then you press CD. Everything's cap sensitive. So we'll hold caps and then D, and then we'll press E for, because we're going into desktop. DE, and then you press tab. So CD means change directory. You're trying to, you're saying, hey, I'm trying to go inside the directory. Um, yeah, so change directory. And then um, pressing DE shows like, hey, I want it to be D and then E, and then your shell, your terminal knows what else is going on from here. So you can just press tab and then it'll auto complete. So tab, um, let me close this down. Come on, baby. Oh, here we go. All right. And then we'll open this back up. All right. So CDs, the change directory, mean directory, just think of that as folder, change directory. And then you just want to go into that folder, DE, and then by pressing tab, if it auto completes, it means you're doing everything right. So we'll go back again. So CD space dot dot. That's just to go back a file or folder, and we'll ls again. So if we pressed CD capital D and then we press tab, it doesn't do anything because there's three things that starts with the D. So if you double tabbed, tab, or whatever, it's already doing it. So if you double tap, it's going to say, hey, well, which one do you want? So you press the next thing. So if you press O and you press tab, let's control L, tab. It's like, well, which one do you want? So if I press a C and I press tab, it's saying, hey, okay, now I know what's going on. So then you press enter, and then now you're inside of that folder. So now you can say hell ls, like Marco Polo, where am I at? It's saying there's nothing inside here. So we'll cd again, dot, and then control L. So make sure you're kind of like following along, pressing these buttons, ls, and then we'll cd, and then we're going back into the desktop, capital D, E, and then S, tab. All right. So now, the next important thing you're gonna do is you're gonna want to read things. I actually don't want to show. Well, it's okay. So CAT is the way to read a file. So the way you could tell a file is by the colors. So it's usually has some sort of extension to it. .txt. You'll see that a lot for files. But it could be named anything. Well, almost anything. You can name it whatever. But my credentials.txt is kind of a best practice. So if I press my tab or C and then tab, it's going to show. Uh, I probably need to clear that, but it showed the password. That's a horrible practice right there, but you get the point. So what we'll do is, the next important thing is we will make our own directory. So mkdir, that stands for make directory, make folder once again. And then we will make it whatever we want. So I'm gonna call it ParkerLogic, just like that. And then press enter. So now when we ls, you see how there's a new folder right here. ParkerLogic. So before we go forward, because I want to show you so many things, I want to show you the structure of how Linux accepts commands. So by doing that, we will do something called man, which stands for manual, man. And then we'll do, for right now, we'll do ls, one of the ones we first did. So this is very important. This is how you can kind of navigate on your own without anyone around. And the most important thing is it's going to start off and show the name, and then it's going to show you what it's called. So list directory is ls. And then in the synopsis, it's going to show you its structure. So anything in parentheses, anything in brackets will definitely, it means that it's optional. So you see how we were able to ls without doing any options? That's because we don't need, it's not mandatory. So then this is called the command. So we've been doing just commands by themselves. The next thing is called the option. And then the last thing is called the argument. So if we wanted to, let's just try one. Where's my favorite? Showing you all of the different options. My favorite is use a long, well, this is probably everyone's favorite, but use a long listing format. And then the size. So you see at the bottom where it says press Q to quit. We're going to quit. And now we're going to ls. So that's the command. And then dash L and then S. Let's see what happens. Boom. So now you see it looks like the last ls, but now it's showing a lot more information than it was before. Now it's showing us this, this root. It's showing the user, and then all of this, how much files are involved, the dates, blah, blah, blah. You get it. This also shows the path, and we'll get into paths very shortly. So this is how you get to this var log open vpn htb.log. All right, so with that being said, we're going to go back and we're going to go back to we're going to ls again. We're going to cd into Parker. So just put PA tab. You can change that name to whatever name you want. Uh, and then you cd into it, and then you ls, and you say, well, there's nothing here. So to make a file, we do something called touch. So the command is touch, and then the argument for now, because we don't need to, the options is completely up to you. But for right now, we're just worried about the argument. So what's the name of the file? The file, we'll call it practice file dot txt. So now when we cat that, we'll see. So cat, because we want to read. There's nothing to read, obviously. So there's nothing to read. So now we will get into something called Vim. And before I head into Vim, I wanted to mention to you what it's all about. So Vim is pretty much, it's a text editor. And it's been around for over 40 years, 40 something plus years. It's been around for a long time. And this text editor is so powerful. Um, just know that at the beginning, it may be a tad intimidating, but that's what I'm here for. So I'll be holding your hand, which is a pretty big cybersecurity terminology, especially in the pen testing world. We call it hand holding. So that's my job. I'm going to hold your hand and walk you through this. There's a lot of memes about Vim that people get lost and stuck in it, and you might have to look them up whenever you get the chance. But with that being said, we're going to go into this file with Vim. So you just type in Vim and then P tab. All right, don't press anything. As soon as you get in here, don't press anything. So with Vim, there's three important things with this text editor. And you will need this text editor, or you'll need some kind of text editor, because if you want to manipulate files, you want to go to an access control list and give yourself access so you can get inside of a network. You need to be able to manipulate files. So there's three important things about Vim. One is there's three modes. The first one is, it has a lot of names, but it's mainly called command mode. And this is its like main mode. This is where I'm at right now. There's nothing to move around. And then the next thing is, just follow me, press I. It's insert mode. Insert mode is where you're going to press things. So press I, and then you'll see it shows insert mode right here. That means you're good to go. With that being said, you can type something here. Let's say I'll type something. I love Vim. Vim is the greatest. I'm definitely one of those people who have upgraded my Vim. There's something called NeoVim. That's a rabbit hole to talk about later. But if you know about NeoVim, I will NeoVim you in a couple of episodes. But right now, we got to learn the basics of Vim. Vim is oh yeah, so Vim is the greatest. We can just put whatever. I am ready to learn Vim. I'm doing this to create lines because we have to be able to edit to understand, you know. So you can just really just put whatever, enter, blah, 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 enter. Um, so there's, in insert mode, there's three things that you need to learn. And I'm not going to get into in depth. I'm just going to give you very basics of each mode. So in insert mode, you type. If you want to go to the top, it's capital, or you want to go, hold on, let me see. Oh, so if you want to go to the top, it's G. So this is outside of insert mode. And to leave insert mode, you press escape. In insert mode, only thing you can really do is type. There's like one command you can do, and we'll talk about that later. But sorry, so for command, in the command mode, which you don't see anything right here, you can press look down at the keys for a second, and you see H, J, K, and L. So think of H and L as your left and right. J, think of it as a hook going down, fishing, and K, think of it as a kite. You're going up. H, L, J, K. All right, that's all you need to know for now. How to navigate in command mode, and then how to type. So you want to go back and type. You press I for enter. Now you can use the directional pad to move up and down, and then you can just type whatever you want. Enter. All right, we're going to get in depth with that, but in our final mode, you press escape, you hold shift and give it the colon. Now, if as you notice, there is this colon right here, and it's ready for you to put something. So this is where you tell it commands. You can use, and this is where you'll be using scripting if when you get to the Bash scripting and Python scripting, if you know in the future. With that being said, one of the main things you tell it is set, and then let's see NU. Hold on. Let's go back. Set space NU. I had too many spaces. Oh, and then set. So for you, you should see numbers popping up. I already have numbers. So if I wanted to turn these numbers off, set no NU. Let's see. All right, well, that's not working. Let me show you something real quick. So color scheme, and then tab. And then I like to go over to Elflord. So there's a bunch of commands, and you see how I can kind of customize it. You can keep customizing this, and you can turn this into a whole VS Code IDE if you wanted to. You can turn it into whatever. But that is all you need to know for Vim right now. You set some things in command mode, and then you you press I in the insert to throw in notes or manipulate notes. And we will do a lot of that later. And then in command mode, you can press set G to, it'll show you how much lines. Press G to go up at the top. Control G to go to the bottom. So to get out of here, we got to go to the command mode, or we got to go to the this last mode is called last line mode. So just remember, last line mode, you will to leave. So W is write, Q is quit. So you press colon W Q, and that'll get you out of there. So now that we are finally out of Vim, one of the most important things we'll be paying attention to are the rest of the Linux commands. But for now, let's see, cat, and let's go to practice. And now you can see everything that you've written. I love Vim. Vim is the greatest. You get the point. Let's go back and see what all we need to do. So let's get our PWD. Let's get all this going. All right, let's see. Clear. So ls. Okay, so we're gonna go to root. So in order to go to root, it's a /. This will take you to the top. And when you ls, you get to see what is the file system. So we're not going to go into file systems. It took me a while to actually learn all of the file systems and what it does. But for now, just remember these guys. Home, obviously that's how you get back to where we just were. Um, var has a lot of important stuff in it. User and proct and Etsy. So we're going to go into Etsy. Etsy is usually where all the good stuff is. So we're going to cd into, and then you just press /e and then tab. And then we're going to go to password. Oh, if I spell it right. Hold on. No, I don't. Oh, let's name it. Forget it. Okay, so let's see. Where is it? There's something I'm missing. So Etsy and then it's good to have these problem solver moments. This is what separates people who become really good, from people who don't. Everything isn't going to go smooth all the time. But let's see more. So to navigate through this, if you're following along, you press Control B. This is talking to Tmux, and then you press Shift left bracket. So Control B or Control B and then bracket. Now you can just press up and down on here, and it'll bring you through. So let's see, and then to back out, you'll see this right here. You just press Q. So let's see. Where am I trying to go? So, okay, here we are. So we're in Etsy, ls, and then password. I was spelling it wrong. I knew. So then we'll press PASSW, and I should know this, but it's because I'm trying to CD into it and not cat. There we go. /Etsy, password, tab, SS, and then enter. Okay, there we go. So now you could see a whole bunch of like all of the users. This is what this means. So breaking this down, this means users, and we'll get into this more with the file systems. This will be their passwords, but it's authenticated. It's hidden. It's not authenticated. It's, the word that means it's hidden. It's hidden, and then you see all these, you see the paths. So one of the things that I wanted to do is show you the path. Let's see. So we'll CD back into home. I'm doing this for a reason. Home, and then we'll double tap canary, and then double tab, and then we'll go back to desktop. Oh, it's capital. All right, so whenever you press PWD, it's like print the working directory, print the working files. So which files am I using? And you see how it's the same? Home, canary, directory. So this will kind of let you know where you are and where you want to be. So far we figured out how to make files, make folders, write and read in those folders. An important thing is learning how to some of the file permissions of this. And this is kind of, advanced, but it's just cool to, I believe that it will be cool with your kit to understand what this means to a small degree. So what am I going to do? Let's control L, LS, or LS, and then dash. We can do LS again. And then I'm gonna copy this right here. And then I'm gonna explain something very important to you. Um, we'll take this over to Canva. Now, I believe that this was one of the most confusing things for me, when it comes to hacking, and it's because when you get into a certain computer's network, you need to know what privileges you have, and if you begin to understand privileges at the beginning, as you start to see this, because I'm going to go over a full demonstration of me hacking something after we're done with this Linux, um, with the basics of Linux. And you need to know what permissions you have, because if you don't know what permissions you have, you don't know what you can and can't do. So this is very important. Let's see. Let me zoom in. So we'll take this text, and then we'll, oh, this one looks the same. So let's go to another one and copy this one. That way I can show you different permissions side by side. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll break this up into different groups. Okay, so we'll break it down like that. Okay, here we go. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. So this last digit, this last character is it shows what type of, what are you messing with? L is for link, D is for directory, and there's other ones. There's other different types of files and stuff. But the most things that you need to pay attention to is this is set up in 3 different groups. So the first group is user. This explains all of the user permissions. R is for write or for read. That means they can only go through that file. You've probably been through a file that you can only read, a read-only file. You can't touch it. You can't. So W is for write. Now you can actually manipulate some things, and X is for execute. So that obviously means you can open it, close it, delete it, save it, whatever you want to do to it. You have full permissions in the user bracket. And this is in the groups bracket, which this is pretty good to know, because a lot of jobs that I applied at, they would mention the whole Active Directory. Do you know Active Directory? Now, this obviously is an Active Directory, but this is a huge principal privileges. And so this is groups. So like, let's say me, you, 5 other people worked at a company, and we're in whatever, the geek squad, the geek department. And if you have all 3 of these, that means I can delete your files, my files, his files. I can read them all. I can write them all. I can change them up. If I only have read, like, then obviously, and this stands for other, and we'll go into that one a lot. Come on. We'll go into that a lot later. Let me see. So, okay. So how do we get this off? Dismiss. I don't need this right now. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll just have to pretend we don't see this blocking us. So anyway, D, this is a directory. This person has read, write, and executable permissions for themselves as a user. They can only read and execute for the group and only read and execute for the other. They can't do any writing outside of their own files that they make. So that's what that means. Um, Going back to that, um, this is obviously a Hack the Box's environment, so I can't just start manipulating their files. That's why I don't have full permissions for it. But anyway, with that being said, that was a little quick overview of file permissions, and it's really good that you pay attention to that. Any of this stuff, if it sounds like it's too much for you, a little bit over your head, just keep rewatching this, keep practicing, write notes. But if you want to get good, this is the way. So, um, let's see. We need to learn how to add things in. So, sudo, once again, that means super doer. It means you are saying, hey, I need to be admin. I need to be X for right now. I need X privileges. Like I was just saying, that's executable privileges. I need that for just right now, just this line. And then what I want to do is use something called apt, which is the command. And that command it stands for advanced packaging, um, something, advanced packaging manager. And you're saying, hey, I need to install something. We're going to install this for right now just to practice. And it's called tree, app install tree. And then you can put in an option of yes, which says, hey, I want to automatically accept it because it's gonna ask you, do you want to accept this? Usually on your computer it will. If it doesn't say that for this one, that's how they have it configured. But if you're doing this on your own computer through your own virtual machine sometime, it's gonna ask you every time. Like, so now you could see launchers are updated, and now we can use something called tree. Oh, well, how do you use tree? So since tree is not part of the normal commands, usually things that you install, you're going to have to use something called help, not the manual. So this is and this is the option for it. So tree dot option, and then now you can kind of use tmux. So control B is to say, hey, tmux activate, and then you press left bracket. You'll see this in the top left. That means you have the ability to start scrolling up. Um, and this is how you kind of look through it. And that may look confusing as I don't know what, but just know that tree's the command, and then it has all these different options. But we just want to list all files. All files are listed. So we're just going to use -A. So to get out of here, we press Q, and then we go back. So to go back to any of your previous commands, you're going to press up or down. So obviously up, we just want to go back and use that last one. Tree -help. I mean, -A. I don't know why I did that. So now it's kind of helping us like use the directory, and it's showing, oh, this is a file, this is an actual directory, this is an actual file, and this is the tree. So let's use that real quick for fun before we head out and do more things. So we'll go back to root, cd space/, and then we'll Press enter. We'll see ls real quick. All right, cd, or we'll do tree and then -a. See all of that? Almost, you don't have to do this, by the way, but it's just going to tree your whole thing. Hopefully it doesn't crash your computer if you did do this, but it's showing um, the whole root tree, and it shows you 73,000 directories and 118 files. Okay, so once again, you don't have to do that. Hopefully, if you have a smaller computer, you didn't do that. But okay, so now let's actually get to the next important thing. So history is a command, and history will show all of the things. Control B, and then left bracket. It'll show you all of the things that you've done. And obviously, you'll stop at the first thing you did. And if you wanted to go and like, let's say you want to go to a specific thing in your history, it would be, you would go Q to quit, and then I'm trying to find one. So 22. Okay, so you would use exclamation mark 22. Let's try exclamation mark 23 and see how it kind of did that for you. So with that being said, this is pretty much everything that we need to know. I will be showing you remove vaguely, and I will show you one last important thing, and then we will get to the demonstration. So when it comes to using remove, you don't have to copy any of this. But I just want you to be aware, because when you look at a lot of the groups, you'll see people that will say something like remove, and then don't copy this, and then dash, this is remove files, and then slash, and then this asterisk means all. Do not, once again, copy this. This will remove every file in your, so if you ever see that, remove is the command, and then if you want more of the options, just press go to man remove and go from there. Here's something that is really important to me. So let's say we wanted to cat slash we'll go back to etc slash password tab. We see this again. So we press Control L, we'll press up, and then this greater than sign is, I think, a huge, it's a tad mid-level advanced, but it doesn't matter. Learn this. This means, hey, I want this information right here to save to this file. So let's say we wanted to do ParkerLogic. So we'll put in where it's going. So that's home, and then canary, and then let's see, Parker, or whatever you have it named. So let's see, where is it? I think it's in desktop. Oops. Oh my gosh, I just deleted it, but okay, that's fine. So cat slash, oops, cd slash, excuse me. Let's see, and then you go to cat etc home, or password, getting a little ahead of myself, and then we're gonna save, and then we're gonna go to slash home, and then we're gonna go to the name of our person, and then it was in desktop, I believe, and then Parker. So what this is doing is we're saying, hey, I want you to print out what is inside of the password area, and then I want it to save to this um, even a better way. Let's see. A better way is, what do we call that? Practice. Let's see. So it's the same thing. I'm just going to show you a quicker way. So let's see. That, and then etc, and then password, and then let's see, Parker. Oh, I don't think it's made anymore. Since I deleted it, let me see, is it here? cd/home. I think I need to go back there real quick. So let's see, to see if it's even there. And then des. All right, let's see. Is it even here? Oh, it is here. So let's cat. And then etc, because we want to be nosy with that file. And then we want to password. Let me see, what else can I cat? Cat, hack the box lab. Okay, so this is what we'll do. Sorry, just excuse all of that. We'll just make it simple. So we'll cat whatever the log file is, and we'll save it to Parker practice. Oh, we have to cd into it. So cd into Parker. We have to be inside the file in order for it to work. Okay, so now we're here. So cat, and then we'll do see, I'm even having a hard time, even though it's not that advanced, but it's just I'm having, I mean, I'll get her done. Okay, so cat, and then hack the box file logs, and then we'll save it to ParkerLogic, and then practice. There we go. Finally, it happens. So then now that what I did was I saved this log, and I saved it to the practice file. Now we want to go read it. The quick way to read it is just cd into the file. So cd into the folder. All right. And then cat this folder. Oops, it's called practice. All right. And now we have all of this information. Yeah, we have all of this information. So now if we wanted to save something else to it, let's say we wanted to save cd dot dot. We wanted to save the readme information, or I don't want to do my credentials, so we'll make another file real quick. We'll make another file. Let's see, cat /etc/password, and then we'll double append it. So this means to save in there, because if you save it once and then if you save it again, it'll overwrite, and it'll keep overwriting and keep overwriting. But this means I want to append, I want to save it with it. So /etc password, and then we gotta go to the file. That's what I keep messing up on, is going to the file. So the file's in home / and then capital D, and then Parker, and then practice. So get ready. There's about to be a bunch to read. Okay, so now we'll cat this. Cat practice. We'll CD in there first. CD, Parker, LS to see where we are. CD, Parker, and then we'll cat the practice file so we can read it. So now we'll press Control B, and then Control B and then left bracket. And then now you can kind of see there's a whole bunch of information. So you can see where the information changes if you scroll up. It starts from like this was the first thing we catted. We catted all this information. And then the second thing that we catted was all of this information. So that's kind of how you add files and save it into a folder that you can look at. So now that is pretty much everything that we need, Q, to get out of here. And from here on, I'm kind of going to show you a demonstration of me hacking this box. So first things first, this box is called lame. So this answers one of the questions that someone asked me earlier. What does Academy help with? So Academy, you can learn all these individually, which I'll be walking you through. I'm kind of walking you through this one right now. I kind of showed you some things that they haven't showed you, but I'll go over it all together. I plan on doing a basics too soon. With that being said, you have the Nmap right here. That's one of the tools. All of these is what is needed to crack this box. And so right now we're just right here. The rest of these for right now, and we did a little bit of this. The rest of these for right now, we will do, I will kind of just walk you through it, but just do it. So you don't have to follow if you don't want to, but I say it's good muscle memory. And let's get it started. So first thing I'm going to do before I do anything is open up a second pane. It's just like opening up a second window, you'll see. So it's Control B and then it's Shift %. Now it opens up. This is the power of Tmux. So I was able to open up 2 different windows that are meant for me to do the same thing. So to open up that window, I pressed Control B and then Shift %, which is under the 5, above the 5. And then from here, if you want to go back and forth, you press Control B and then go over to the left, or Control B and go over to the right. I normally like to make a bunch of notes down here and a bunch of different windows, but I don't want you to get too confused. So first thing we want to do is a ping. And even before we do that, I want to open up these 2 and I wanted to show you. Now I'm unaware if you use MITRE. I'm unaware if you use MITRE, but here we go. If you never heard of it, this is like it's like a worldwide database that kind of shows like a lot of different campaigns that have happened, hacking campaigns, and they kind of record it defensively, offensively, and purple team wise. And they kind of show you like, hey, this is what people normally do to get through an attack surface. So you see reconnaissance, and it will go all the way to hopefully this isn't getting, yeah, it's getting way too small, but it will get all the way over to exfiltration. So the first thing that we're going to worry about is the active scanning. Let's see. So to get reconnaissance, first thing we want to do is ping. This is to make sure that the machine is even up. So we grab the IP address. You, if you're not too familiar with IP addresses, which I hope you are, but just think of it as like the name of the website without the words. So um, we would normally I would before we even do that, I would try to see if the site is up. In this scenario, the site isn't up. I already know, but this is just good practice to see. So we try to put in the website, and then it says it timed out. So we want to ping it. So ping, and then one of the options that most people will use is called count, but we won't use it for just a second. I'm gonna show you something really quick. You ping and you see how it starts to load. So in order to stop a process that is going on, you have to hold control and press C. If that's how to get out of almost every tool or process that is working. To zoom in on this side, on this pane, you press Control B and then you press Z to zoom. So now we're just focused on just this window. So we pinged it. We see that it is under, this is pretty cool to know. If it's under 64, I believe, it means it's a Linux box. If it's between 65 and 124, it's a Windows, and above is Mac. So you can see we had we had all these pings, and the most important thing to recognize is that you normally want 0 packet loss. So this means that I'm having some issues connecting with it. It could be for streaming, who knows. So 9 packets went through, 8 were received, and I had a little bit of loss. But we're still in there. So the next thing we're going to use is a tool called Nmap. Nmap is for active scanning, like it was kind of showing in the MITRE. We didn't dive deep in that, but we will as we go along. So without going to the tools and all that big stuff, I have I have options that I love to use. So it's dash little little s, big C, big V, dash big P, little n. And this means to kind of like go past the network. Like even if you're scanned, it's like to bypass. And these are just like verbose and um, some type of scan. Nmap is really huge. We would have to throw a whole episode for that. And then we're going to put in the argument, which is the ping, the actual IP address. And now it's getting to work. So this sometimes could take a while. So Control B, Z to get out of here. Control B, go over to the next. Control B, over. Come on. So, okay, so now we're over here. While we're doing that, we're going to use another tool to try to, it's just a best practice to look for directories. So, you don't have to do this if you don't want, but GoBuster, and then let me get GoBuster up real quick. So GoBuster, and then let me see, GoBusters. Options. Okay, so it's going to be dir for directory. and then -u, and then it's going to ask where is this at. So this is usually in user. Let's see. It's usually in user, or let's see, user, share, and then word list. This is a really popular path. So you don't know anything about this or never heard anything about this. This would be something to throw in your notes. As you pen test, you will see this extremely often. So share, word list, and then I think the next one is directory. Let's see. Dir. Directory. I could spell it right. Let's see what happens. Tab, tab. Okay, so we can check. This is also a really popular password breaking list. But for now, we're going to go something small. Also, it's dirbuster. So dirbuster, and then slash tab tab. And then we're going to go into directory. Two point 3. I like to do a medium. Large will take too long. Small doesn't get too much, or it doesn't get the job done. And large ones would be like the rock text U, and those are where the large ones are. And then let's see. Alt left is to kind of go through something like that. Let's see, where is this? One second. Let's see. Go Busters. I'm just looking up the best pathway. That way, I can utilize the tool the best way. Go Busters. Come on. Come on, baby. I believe right here I need to put in HTTP : // and then I need to put in the IP address again, and then I'll explain this. So let's see. And then right here, put in word list. Okay, so I don't want this to seem confusing, and you're just kind of like following along and kind of seeing what's going on. So I just use the command go buster, which is the tool. Then, let's see. So it couldn't find anything, and this is pretty normal when the website is down. But I just want you to see that as far as straight practice. So what I did for it is I use go buster, and then here's one of the options. It wants the website, and then it says, well, I need a word list, and then -w for word list. And here's the path in our directory and our Linux system to get to this, to use this tool. So Control B, Z, we'll go back on the other side. We'll clear this real quick. So Control L. See. All right, we'll CD back into CD ... to go back. LS. Okay. So now we'll Control B. We'll go over to this side, and then Control B Z. So this is important. Control B Shift, left bracket, Control B left bracket so we can get this up here again. And then we're going to scroll up and see what's going on. So we did the scan. After it was completed, it revealed to us some important things. So here's some really good like lingo, jargon. You need to know this. So one of the first important things is we are checking ports. It looked at the TCP ports, and usually there's 0 to through 1,000. Of the first 0 through 1,000 ports are the most important ports. As far as these ones belong to a lot of the networking systems, and from 1,000, I believe, up to 65,535. Don't quote me. um, they are owned by certain companies, and they have different. Some of them are made to be redirected to you, but more importantly, this port 21, you'll see a lot. You'll see port 22 a lot. This is SSH, secured shell. It's the way that you remotely connect to another computer. So you'll definitely be knowing this one a lot. And then, another common one that I want to throw out there is port 80. That's HTTP, the internet that is unsecured. And then port 443, which is the internet secured, HTTPS. So those are really important. There's ports for emails and all that. But anyway, so what we see is we have 4 different ports. We have 445, 139, we have 22, and we have 21. So we're going to go back to something really quick. And we have to understand, let me turn this off. I'm not know how to turn that off. And it is bothering me. Okay, so we'll have to zoom out. Where is it? Does anybody know how to turn this off? Let's see. Show quick replies. Turn all of this stuff off. Okay, there we go. Yay! Found it. All right, so here we go. So let's imagine we're going on that treasure hunt again. And inside of this treasure hunt, we have these 4 ports. We got port 21, we got port 22, 139, and 443. And there's different pathways. Like, imagine how you would go to the store or something. There's not always one route to go to the store. You can go left on this block, right on that block, so think of these are like routes to get to the treasure. And these routes to get to the treasure are called attack surfaces. So this is kind of like, what tools are you going to use to get there? What ports are you going to do to get into, the system? So today, for this demonstration, we're going to go through port 21, and then we're going to go through port 443, and we'll go from there. I just wanted to show you. And sometimes you may attack a system and it has 8 ports up. Sometimes you may attack a system and it has 0 ports up, and you have to force your way into one of them, or you have to figure out another way. So, this is kind of like the gist of what you will do. And this also, it's called enumeration. So I'm showing you a basic form of enumerating a attack surface. So anyway, now that we have some information, it even shows me, the name of the computer, the domain. This is the actual website name, and all of that information. So I like to personally keep this up. Let's see. I like to personally keep this up. And even if I have to, I will go back. I'll quit and then Control L. And then I will save. This is why I showed you the save. I will save this into a file called nmap.txt. So now we'll let that do its thing. We'll go over here and we notice that we had those ports open. So we'll use something called Control L, and then we'll use something called searchsploit. So I believe that's capital S, no, SEA CD dot dot. If I can spell search right. Okay, there we go. Searchsploit. And then while one of the things that we'll look for is one of the databases, and we're either looking for the version of the database, the version of the server, any kind of information we can to be able to enumerate. So now it's done. Let me go over here real quick, and then we'll cat nmap, and then we'll go back up and get that information real quick. So as we can see, there is we see Open SSH, we see Debian, the name of the distro, and this usually is the version. This is enough information for us to be able to use the search exploit. So we'll copy that with inside the terminal, it's Control Shift C. Go over here, Control Shift V, enter, and now you see that we have searchsploit has showed us some routes that we can enumerate, some attack surfaces. We see that the version is 4.7, so we need to find, so we can obviously use any of these three right here, these two, because it's 2.3 all the way up to 7.7. Obviously these ones, I'm not sure if this means less or more, but these are all the ones we can use. And I like to triple verify by going into something called DB, exploit database. And this shows this is kind of ties up towards the Metasploit, where it shows, let me move myself real quick. It shows a lot of the, it'll be all right. It shows a lot of the exploitations that have happened. So every time that someone has hacked something and a defense team has found out about it, or even a bug bounty, someone has found out about it, they put it up right here and they say, hey, this is exactly how I did it. This is a web app, it was PHP, and this is the person who did it. So these are obviously super elite hackers and elite defense folks, mainly hackers or pen testers. So anyway, we're going to put in what we need. So what we need to put in is this information. It's either or. We can research it in multiple ways. So I'm going to put in Open SSH 4.7. Go right here, put it in, process. Maybe it's that P1 that's messing it up, or that P altogether. Okay, let's see what information I need to actually grab that I'm not grabbing. Let's try using this path and see. Hold on, let me try this one more time because I'm kind of confused on why that's not happening. Okay, so you can quickly see that two things these guys have found two ways to enumerate. I'm unaware of why it's not showing me. Maybe I'm putting in too much information. Let me just put in 4 real quick. 4 point. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this exact stuff to pop up. This exact. So open SSH. This is probably being too specific. So. Oh, ho, ho. See, I'm over here. Oh, the first thing I did wrong was I need to go to port 21. So I'm looking at the wrong thing, but that is how it works. So we're doing port 21, like I said, and then port 21 VSFT. This is the version of the server. And then we'll go right here, Control V, and boom, there we go. So now I need to go back over here. Control B, go over here, up, and then delete. You can hold Alt and delete to make it quicker. Boom. All right, so now you see we have these two VSFTP, and it shows what type of payload, which is like a loaded up attack, what type of attack we'll be using, and it's a backdoor. And a backdoor is pretty much you making it inside of their network, pretty much teleporting. That's what I like to think of it as, teleporting into their network using a reverse shell, usually a remote reverse shell. So, okay, so now we have that. We're going to open up, and just to verify right here, this is the same executions right here, backdoor command. And then you can click on it and they will go in depth. They're showing you the actual Python script, and we'll be talking about scripting eventually. It's not really that complicated. It looks like it is, but obviously to make a payload would probably be a lot more complicated than just learning how to read it and make simple things. So anyway, so here we are. We're gonna open up something called Metasploit. So Control L whenever it decides to move. Okay, to open up Metasploit, this tool is MSF CO. Then you just press tab for console. So while that's opening up, we're gonna zoom into this so we can focus on it. And I just want to show you real quick. Control B, left bracket. They always come up with some cool little designs. Sometimes it's a rabbit or whatever it could be. It shows how many exploits there are in this version. And this is the version that we're using. We can obviously try to update it. We don't have to do all that right now. How many auxiliaries? These are the payloads. Encoders, invasion attacks to get past firewalls and all kind of cool stuff. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to, let's see, quit to get out of there. And then we need to find that payload. So I like to copy what we just had, use. So all I did was press use. That was one of the commands. And then I put in the version. Now it shows the actual exploit backdoor that we'll be using. And it shows the rank. So the rank shows excellent. And this goes back to showing. So Metasploit, now don't just go out here using it. This is definitely for educational purposes only. Don't go out here using this on sites. You will find a threat hunter will find you and be probably knocking at your door. You need to stay in this environment and just use it to grow your skills. With that being said, this is showing the path. This is when it was made. And the quickest way to use this, you can press use and then put in the whole path, kind of like what you've been seeing me do in Linux, or you can just say 0. There's only one option and the option number is 0. So to use that is 0. Now you can see that it says the payload is been configured. So we need to see what's going on. So show options. Oops. Show options. And that's a space. And then Control B, left bracket. And then you scroll up a little bit and you'll see something that says our host and our port. Our host is like the target host, like it says. So this is who we're attacking. And the port, like we mentioned, is port 21, which is FTP, file transfer protocol. And you see in the current settings, it already knows which port it's using. It's saying, hey, our port is attached to port 21, but host, there's nothing. It doesn't have a host. So we need to set that host. And in order to set that host, we need to use the command set. Oh, first Q to get out, set. And then we go back to this right here, copy, and then space, Control V. So we need to, set our host, and that's all caps. And you should be able to auto complete it. And then there we go. So set our host to the target's IP. Boom. So now you see that it was set. This was set. And then the next thing we want to do is press up again. Go back to show options. We want to look at that and see if it's been set. Now you see in the current settings, it says it's required, yes, and we have it. It's ready to go. So Q to close that. And then to use this is run. You can use exploit, run, it doesn't matter, just whatever. I like to make things simple. So run, and we'll wait for it to do its thing. So right now it's trying to create a backdoor in someone else's endpoint, so their computer. So we're trying to go onto this IP address and teleport our way into the network. And it said that it was created, or we got a banner 220. Don't know what that really is yet, but it tried to ask for a password. It said the exploit was completed and no session was created. It means that it didn't work, long story short. So we're going to go back. So for Metasploit to go back is home, or back, I believe. Okay, so back. And then we're going to go back to our other port. So just to make sure you're up to speed with me, we tried to do 21 and 21 was an X. So that one, we can't get in that way. That's pretty much what, or at least via Metasploit. You can definitely probably get in when you get to a point where you don't use Metasploit, but Metasploit is kind of what we're using today, and it said nope, you can't, it doesn't work. It probably doesn't work without Metasploit, but I'm unaware. With that being said, we're going to check one of these two ports out. And what is the cool thing about these ports? So we'll head on over here, we'll zoom in, and then we will look that both of these are using a NetBIOS SSN. I know what NetBIOS is. I don't know what this is yet, but more importantly, we see that it's using the Samba SMBD database. And then it's saying for 139, you can use the version 3 point blah, blah, blah to 4 point blah, blah, blah. Or this one is showing if you want to go through 445, you can use 3.0.20. So looks like as long as we're on 3, we can use both of these. So that's what we'll do. We'll copy this information and put 3 point, we'll just put 3.0. Let's just make our life simple. Control Shift C, and then we'll get out of here. We'll quit whenever it lets me. Control B, Z to zoom in. And then for here, we'll use search exploit. If I could spell it right. And then Control V for right here. Let's see. I think I put too many spaces. Search exploit. We'll just skip this part and this Samba. Oops. Okay, there we go. There we go. So as I mentioned, this is obviously the one straight for this one because it's Samba 3.0.20. That is the one for the 445, if you remember that. And then we can use almost any of these. So since we don't know which one works the best, we're going to go over to to Metasploit. And then we're going to use, and then we're going to copy that same thing we just did. Let's actually do this for good practice, just so we can see real quick. So we're going back to the database, exploit database. Oh yeah, I forgot I got to delete this part in the middle. And then you see all these. So even if you have no clue what's going on and you just start looking at MITRE ATT&CK and exploit DB, you can work your way into becoming elite. It will take a while, but you can, but yeah, every time we do any box, we'll be, doing this whole system. This is my system to be able to hack on my own without, you know, needing a walkthrough or anything like that. So anyway, now we're about to attack these. I'm trying to learn how to use Canva if you haven't noticed already. But yeah, so now we're about to attack those. And we'll put our focus back on this. Control B. Control B, Z. So we'll zoom in. Let's see what we get. Oh, we have to delete this in the middle. It's always different, and make sure that there's not a million spaces between. Okay, so what is the most important thing to me? I really don't like, unless I wanted to just like try some of these out for fun. And when I get to the Metasploit episode, we will just be trying a bunch of them for fun and getting into all the details. I just go for excellent. My chances are extremely high. The reason why it didn't work for the other port is because this box is designed to block you out of port 21. But I'm pretty sure there's some hackers out there that can get in there regardless. But anyway, so use 0. And then let's see. So we use 0. And then let's see. Okay, then we'll show options. Come on, baby. Show options. And then after we get that going, okay, so this is important. So you see how it says L host? This is the listening address. This is us now. R host is the attacking. L host is us. So it's listening from my VPN, but I want it to listen from Hack the Box's VPN. And you could see it in the top right corner. Here's another way to verify your which VPN you may be in, just in case yours could be different. So I'll go into this real quick. ifconfig. Pretty sure a lot of you guys heard of that or know about it. And then we'll go Control B, left bracket. And it's in tune. It Control B, Control B, left bracket. Okay, here we go. Finally. These are the different networks that I'm attached to. And tune is usually the one that we will use, and it's showing, you know, all of that information. But this is the most important thing that matters. So 10.10, .14.5, and you see that in the corner. So a quick way to do that, I'm just showing off for a second. Q would be ifconfig, and then we want to cat that. And this is kind of where you want to be. And then you want to pipe that, which I'll be showing you in the next one. Then we want to grep, and then we want to grep inet. And then if we wanted to, we could save that to, but right now we just want to display it. Or not. Let's do less. Well, so much for that. All right, so let's get back on task. So Control L, we know which net we are part of. We go over. That's why I love streams, because it's not, I don't want to be perfect. I don't want people to think that this has to be like a perfect YouTube channel where it's commercialized and all of that. No, I'm a real person. I'm gonna make real mistakes. I expect you guys to be real people and make real mistakes, and that's how you learn. Okay, so let's get back to it. Control B, get over, or go over to the other pane. Control B, over. All right, so we know our Control B, Z again. All right, so we know our VPN, which is the most important thing. So set LH, and then 10.10.14.5. So we set that. And then the listening port is where we will be listening for the shell, where we'll be listening for the other terminal in order to teleport ourselves over to the other network. With that being said, we'll leave that at 444. Even though you can't see set our host, it's there. You need to set it. And that was a big mistake I got lost on for forever. I'm like, I don't see it, so it's not asking for it. But you still need to set it. And obviously we know what to set it for. We go copy that and then Control V. Okay, so now we're looking good. Let me see, show options. This is just to make sure that we have, so we see that the L host is set. We see that the port is set. And now all we have to do is just run. So it's setting up the reverse shell, reverse terminal. And it shows that we were able to create a session going over from our VPN 10.10.14.5 on listening port 4444 over to their the attackers, the victims shell network 10.10.10.3. And look at the port we're on, 51,304. So that is just a random one it came up with for us to be able to get this random session going. So now we want to do a few things. We want to see, who are we? So who am I? It shows that we have root access. So now we're going back to using a lot of our Linux again. This is why Linux is so important for this. You see where, remember being in the file system. Oh, I'm not in a full shell. Um, I'm not in a full shell, so I can't use full privileges. I don't want to get any confusion going with that. So we'll just see how it's printing onto the screen. It's printing pretty weird or whatever or whatnot. But the whole purpose of it is we can CD and then we'll slash home. We'll get ourselves, oh, we can't tab either. So we'll CD into home, ls. It says, okay, now you see, I see that inside of home, there's something called file transfer protocol, which is probably a bunch of amazing files. The user, so it's probably the name or the user's information, the services that are running, and a person's name, Macus. I don't know who that is, but obviously Macus sounds very important. So let's get a little nosy and see who Macus is. We CD it into their folder, ls. Now we see that there's something called user.txt. So that's some kind of special note. And inside of that, we'll CD into that, or we'll cat that to read it, user.txt. And right now you see that there's a flag, and here's a flag going. And so if you haven't done this, and I'm pretty sure you haven't, we would go to adventure mode, we would put the user flag submission right here and copy and paste. But since I've already done it, you would do that. You would say how hard it seemed for you, and then here's the flag. But we're not done yet because we haven't gotten the root flag. So this kind of goes back to what I mentioned. So you CD into the root, and then you ls. And now you see all those important ones. Remember proc, remember root. Root is obviously where we're going, but just remember user, remember var, remember all those cute ones. Etsy's up here somewhere, but I don't feel like scrolling up for it. So we would ls again, let's see, and then we would cd into a root. Now you can only get into root if you have root privileges. Obviously we were noticing that we had root privileges. And as we cd'd into root, you see root.txt as a file, as a note. So we'll cat that. And then there we go. And then there's the flag. Now, two things I wanted to mention before I end this. If you want to like get better at this, you're gonna you obviously need muscle memory. So if you want to keep playing around in any of these systems, from Metasploit to Linux to any of this, you can also explore all of this and get what you got going. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier, as far as what I did to get myself into, like, to get myself employed in the cybersecurity industry, what I did was, every single box that I did, I shared the results, and I shared it on LinkedIn. And then every little I shared it on LinkedIn, and then I shared it on and then yeah, I just kept completing boxes. And then I did TryHackMe, and everything I completed, I shared it on LinkedIn. And then I added a bunch of people who I believe, recruiters, companies. And then, I just kept posting and tagging and, putting all my information on how I did this. And then when I started to apply for jobs, I was actually getting people contacting me before I was applying. But as I started to apply for jobs, they quickly would go and check my LinkedIn, and they would ask me, you know, these questions related to my LinkedIn, and they were able to see, oh, okay, you have this, completed. So it looks like you're getting your hands on, you're getting all these skills going, and they were that interest them. Oh yeah, see, yeah, that interests them. And also, what I did was I looked for internships. I looked for networking. It just depends on where you are. I looked for help desk. It doesn't. Me personally, I will say I have networking experience, so that does change a little bit. I have over 2 years of working at a NOC, a network operations center. So when we get into the networking, you will be good. But you can do that for, um, like I said, help desk. You can do that for any position that you're trying to get into. Just get in, because right now, um, the second thing that I did is I noticed there's a big herd of people running towards getting their Sec Plus, going defensively or GRC, and I actually have a GRC role, but um, what I'm saying, GRC is kind of a gray area because there isn't really a lot of training programs. There is one that I know about, but besides that, you kind of have to build your own portfolio to get in. And then for the defense, everybody was going towards the Sec Plus. So I decided, okay, I see, 90% of the people running towards the Sec Plus. So I decided to run towards pen testing, and I realized that there's really not that many people on this sector. And I this is just my opinion. I believe it's because you have to learn a lot of technical stuff, but that's why I'm here for you. I'm going to help you with as much technical of the technical stuff as possible. And I also want you to help me. If you see anything that I did wrong or you want to build up, here we are. With that being said, thank you guys so much for your time. I'll reply to your comments as soon as possible. And in the next video, I will be showing you Linux. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. If you want to join, I'm here. If you want to look later on, that's fine. Besides that, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Bye bye.